Welcome back to Ghost of Karohar and another absolutely incredible session. Now, whereas last episode was incredible in part because I did absolutely no prep for it, this one I meticulously prepped. I knew exactly where each character was going to be and who they were going to be with. The entire concept of this filler episode for each character was based on the Avatar episode Tales of Ba Sing Se, which is touted by many as being one of, if not the best episode in the series because it gave us individual vignettes with all of our characters and seeing what they could do when there wasn't some kind of big fight right in front of them. And so that's what I did tonight. I happen to have a bunch of new minis that were officially Symbaroum minis, so that's great. Somebody used their story point on Dar's trip to the barbarian food cart, so I brought in premium goblin cuisine in the form of local cheesesteaks. And throughout the entire adventure, something that I've alluded to with these videos and my use of music is I've had a Spotify playlist as the soundtrack for our adventure. It's been incorporating bardcore covers for lighter moments combined with more typical Wardruna and Heilung tracks to evoke the dark fantasy Nordic feel. And for tonight, I made some very specific musical choices for each vignette to set the mood. So without further ado, let's go to the session and to those vignettes for each of our characters. First up is Dar. Since he was in-game visiting the food trucks, this is where I broke out the cheesesteaks for the group. I also used punk tunes from Idols and Emil and the Sniffers to set the tone for Dar's introduction to this big city barbarian way of life, as well as Rami's whole vibe. Uh, he got to ask some questions to Rami about Malima, about her growing up with the elves, about the history of Davakar, which was all great world building. And I saw people pulling out their notebooks to jot down the lore that Dar was now privy to. And it really helped develop Rami as not just this hot fighter chick, but also somebody who knows intimately the setting and the lore and why she has to fight. Then they went mud wrestling because Rami reveals that Dar is going to be fighting in the carnival with her against Seldar, something that I thought Dar would be more conflicted about, but that he's totally on board with if it means he gets to be called a Thane in the new regime. And then, when they go to wash off the mud, Rami offers another way for them to get more in sync for tonight's adventure, and Dar gets laid. Speaking of romance, it's time for Magnolia to finally reunite with Rosemary, who she finds locked in a living fortress, completely broken and haggard, a shadow of her former self. They go to each other's arms, but while Magnolia is completely hopeful, Rosemary is lost. And Magnolia's player has this genius idea to use the mechanics of the soulmate boon that has been suppressed for her the entire game, that is now back, replacing her nightmare's burden because she is reunited with Rosemary. This ability gives limited telepathy, and she uses this to send mentally to Rosemary her image of what she sees Rosemary as. And when Rosemary sees that Magnolia still thinks she is an angel, even after all of her failures and all of her questionable magic, this reignites her soul. And to top that off, Magnolia pulls out the 6 baby horned gophers, these creatures that are a symbol of life, and offers them as a sacrifice so that Rosemary can use them to give them some kind of boon in the fight to come, where it is hinted that they will have to fight together now, their fates intertwined. Rosemary grows out black claws, quickly ends the lives of these baby horned gophers, rubs the blood on her lips, and offers herself to Magnolia with a kiss, which, in my favorite moment of the night, while all of this romance is coming together, while we are experiencing dark magic, while the mechanics and the flavor of the setting are working together, Magnolia does not kiss Rosemary on the lips. She gets blood on her lips and she kisses over her eyes and her cheek as she is holding her witch in her arms. And I think it really establishes the relationship between them in something that is more like a knight protector and his witch ward, more so than the hot lesbian romance for which I had Poppy's cover of All the Things She Said queued up. I never played that track, instead sticking with the moody pieces from Florence and the Machine, which I think was a pitch perfect match for what was going on. Magnolia and Rosemary had so much build up going into it, and I think the scene played off perfectly. So we transition to Gadramon, who is still going by the name Buddy, as he is introduced to the band Ghillie Suit Jesus he will need to practice with in a monster jam session before they perform as the headlining act for the carnival. Now, this is all kind of funny, but Gadramon's player decided that not only is he going to move forward as Ghillie Suit Jesus' drummer as a gag, he is actually going to incorporate drumming into his character, something that is possible within the mechanics of Symbaroum through the musician boon, and something that he decided was actually taught to him by his father in little drumming rituals before he tucked him in for the night. And I love this. I love that as you progress in your role-playing story, you can not only look towards the future, but you can develop the past of your character rather than swarming your DM with a 20-page backstory at the start. You work together with the story and the people at the table to figure out your backstory as you go. This was perfect. The whole scene with Ghillie Suit Jesus, I had different voices and characteristics for all the 5 band members that he met, and there was a lot of time spent on this and mostly jokes. But he did start to establish, where is the chief going to be in all this? Where will we be positioned? So Gadramon is planning something for the carnival, and I like that I don't know what that is yet. So we'll just have to see. Now, it has been an inside joke that Ghillie Suit Jesus is a progressive rock band, so I used some more uplifting tracks from my own personal favorite prog act, Coheed and Cambria. Back in the cells, we see Seldar thrown in with a man named Erdon Fiasco. Now, Erdon was actually a minor side character that was met in episode 1. As they were going to get their licenses, they saw a braggart noble coming out saying that his golden pack was going to go into Davokar and bring back great treasures and great glory for Ambria. The crew wrote him off, but said maybe if we come across them later on, we can team up with them or rob them. Who knows? And there were opportunities for them to cross paths with Erdon and the Golden Pack on the way to Malima. That didn't happen. And because that didn't happen, I made some rolls behind the scenes that meant that the entire Golden Pack, except for Erdogan, was slain by a Death Lord. Erdogan was captured by Malima troops, and now he is sentenced to the Carnival as an Ambrian conqueror. Uh, so this is Seldar's opportunity to really bond with a younger version of himself who is racked with depression for getting his whole unit killed. Can Seldar raise him up to the occasion to fight with him in the carnival and live? And Seldar kind of did that. Probably not in the way I would have played it, but that's fine. Seldar went straight military sergeant, pull yourself together, soldier. And Erdogan fell in line. They were practicing together and they're going to fight together, and that's all good. I don't think I quite hit the mark on the music this time. I originally thought about using, classic Vietnam era war movie tracks, like Creedence Clearwater Revival, Jimi Hendrix, that kind of thing. But I wanted to bring something more into our era with, a little bit of System of the Down, some Green Day kind of Iraq War tracks. And it didn't totally work, particularly with my choice of using more edgy Linkin Park music, juxtaposed with Seldar's jingoistic attitude. But it was still a lot of fun, and it still gave us some insight into Seldar, and he is growing on me as a character who is not just a villain. And now we have Mihira, who has the most freedom of anyone in the bunch. She has just been given $1,000. She can go anywhere she wants in Malima. She could leave Malima if she wants to. Her mother, Yavra Alani, the most powerful figure in the setting, and someone who has been the goal of the whole party. Not only they want to save Rosemary, but they want to fight and kill the White Witch. She has the opportunity to meet with her mother and sit down and get all her questions answered. And they do this. They climb to the top of the tree. I painted a beautiful scene. I was using different tracks from Grimes to try to capture all the conflicting emotions that might be going on with Mahira, and I think that was a very good choice. And what Mahira revealed is that I don't like her at all. Um, that's not to say there's anything wrong with the way the player is portraying her, but Mahira is an angsty teenager, and that's probably not a wrong choice. As a changeling, she grew up as a human until her elven features sprouted, and then her entire family rejected her. Her community rejected her. She is trying to find new people, a new purpose, a new family through this thieves guild. And she had an opportunity for a found family with the party, who she continues to set herself apart from as a lone wolf actor. And now that she's found her true mother, who reveals that she could be an accepted part of Malima society, Mahira is rejecting that as well. She is, and she says out loud, all she feels in this situation is anger towards her mother, towards the world, towards Ambria, towards the elves, everything. So she has endless opportunities for what she can do right now, and she is taking none of them. Instead, just seething at what she could have had if she was raised as an elf with Yavra Alani, rather than put in the crib in the place of Rami, who got to live out a better life as she sees it. That is where we leave Mahira. However, she was given the opportunity of 2 tickets to the carnival, a golden leaf that would send her up to the VIP balcony with Halstor and Yavra Alani, or a silver leaf that would set her in the crowd. as we transition into the carnival, Mahira chooses the golden leaf. So, as all the events are playing out, she has a bird's eye view and is sitting right next to Halster and Yavra. So, as the actual game night is getting a little late, we have just enough time to start the carnival, but not get into a fight. So, I know, and one of the characters says, we should work towards a big cliffhanger. So, let's make this happen with the 30 minutes or so that we have left. I set up the carnival. I break out the Spartacus Colosseum map and I set the scene. There is a a Danny DeVito goblin who is the MC of the affair. There's a huge crowd. Ghillie Suit Jesus is playing. Seldar and Magnolia are watching on the level of the sands. Mahira is up in the balcony, and Dar is getting ready to fight as an honorable thing to be next to Rami. And the big moment that I have been waiting for, I have alluded that Yavra has powers over life and death. She is a white witch, which in Symbaroum is a spiritualist. They can call upon the spirit world and manifest them into the material plane. I used the League of Legends cover of Imagine Dragons Warriors to establish when Yavra completes her ritual, raises her arms, and the white spirits of all of Karohar's slain soldiers come back. Halsor and Yavra are not just this new way for Karohar. They are respecting their history and they are bringing it with them into the fight. And if you think that undeath and spiritualism are solely in the realm of evil, need I remind you of Aragorn bringing in his army to save Minas Tirith? This is what the party is up against. This is what they are trying to change by still potentially killing Yavra and Halstor and inserting Gadramon in the throne. But before that happens, we have a fight. Dar and Rami take to the sands. Erdan and Seldar take to the sands. They both practice. They both have a plan. And then Seldar just kind of charges in. And that is where we left off. And so, after another phenomenal session, the stage is set for what probably will be the finale of Ghost of Karohar. But I do have a critique. While I think I did a great job showing off what's going on in each character's head as they move into the carnival, and I set the stage for the carnival, exactly where each party member is sitting, how many people are around them. I don't think I did a great job setting the stakes of the fight to come. Now, I had a plan for that, and that plan was kind of upended by Seldar's player just having Seldar charge in. But that is a completely reasonable choice, as well as being completely in character, as we've established for Seldar. So we don't know if this is a fight to the death. We don't know if people from the audience can get involved. We really don't know anything. It's just going to be a big fight between 4 people, which will mean at least 2 players are just sitting back on the sidelines, which, in my DM advice, would not be something I would tell people to do. This is a situation you should avoid, and now it's the situation I've gotten myself into as the game master of Ghost of Karohar. So, while I'm looking forward to the fight next time, I'm gonna have to do a little more work to ensure that we know why everyone's fighting, and everyone at the table should be involved. And before we go to next time, I'd like to get you all more involved. In the comments, let me know 2 things. One, Who's your favorite character to follow? Why do you like them, and why are you invested in their story? And two, who do you think is the ghost of Karohar? Because this is an intentionally open title and has been from the start. I have a few ideas of who I consider the ghost or the ghosts to be, but you may find somebody different. Thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting, and thank you to my absolutely amazing players for making this whole adventure possible. I know that we're leaning into the finale next time, and there's a decent chance that not all of these characters will make it out alive. I'm not looking forward to killing them, but the dice are going to fall as they may, and they have put themselves in a position where they are surrounded by thousands of enemies. We'll see what plays out.